from Washington, this is VOA News. Eastern regional Ukraine referendums are set for Sunday. South Africa's ANC officially declared winner of election. I'm Vincent Bruce, reporting from Washington. Pro-Russian separatists in eastern Ukraine say 2 hastily organized secession referendums will take place as planned Sunday. The voting to take place despite warnings from Kyiv that the self-rule votes could spell disaster for the Russian-speaking region. Sunday's ballots seek voter approval for establishing so-called sovereign people's republics in Donetsk and Luhansk regions. The vote, organized on an ad hoc basis with no clear controls over ballot papers or voter lists, has been widely criticized in Kyiv and in Western capitals. Separatist leaders claim the populations in Donetsk and Luhansk are demanding the immediate opportunity to vote on the region's future, despite questions about the legality of the ballots and recent polling showing 70% of locals opposed to secession. South Africa's longtime ruling party handily won this year's elections, its 5th straight victory in 20 years. VOA's Anita Powell asked a prominent political analyst to break down what the numbers mean. Here's more from Johannesburg.
The numbers show that South Africa's African National Congress trounced the competition, with its nearest competitor, the opposition Democratic Alliance, trailing by more than 7 million votes. The ANC has been dogged by criticism over its failure to provide all South Africans with basic services. However, the ANC is also the party responsible for extending development to benefit the nation's black majority, which was shut out under the former apartheid government. Anita Powell, VOA News, Johannesburg.
More details at voanews.com. Members of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations are calling for restraint over tensions in the South China Sea. Saturday, foreign ministers from the 10-member ASEAN expressed concern over those tensions in the South China Sea region, where China has been involved in maritime disputes with Vietnam and the Philippines. ASEAN foreign ministers issued a joint statement calling for restraint. President Barack Obama's wife, Michelle Obama, says she and her husband are outraged at the kidnapping of more than 300 schoolgirls in Nigeria. VOA's Kent Klein reports the First Lady stepped in for the president, who usually delivers the weekly broadcast address to the nation.
One day before Americans celebrate Mother's Day, Mrs. Obama expressed empathy for the parents of the 276 abducted girls.
This unconscionable act.
The First Lady also spoke out against the Boko Haram terrorist group which kidnapped the girls.
Grown men attempting to snuff out the aspirations of young girls.
The United States and other countries have sent teams of technical experts to help the Nigerian government in its search effort. Rescuing the girls unharmed is the main challenge, according to the Director General of the Nigeria Orientation Agency, Mike Omeha.
The essence of rescue is not to kill everybody, but to bring people alive.
Kent Klein, VOA News, Washington.
Violence in Iraq killed more than 24 people Saturday, part of a surge in unrest that has sparked fears the country may be slipping back into widespread conflict. The deadliest attack occurred north of Baghdad in the town of Dujail, where at least 6 security personnel died when a suicide bomber drove his explosive-laden car into an army checkpoint. At least 15 people were wounded in that incident. South Sudan's military spokesman says the armed forces are ready to implement a ceasefire deal signed late Friday in Nairobi. VOA's Gabe Joselo has a report.
South Sudan's Colonel Philip Aguer told VOA Saturday the ceasefire order will be passed to all military forces, known as SPLA.
The agreement will be simply communicated to all the SPLA division and forces and units.
President Salva Kiir and his main rival, former Vice President Riek Machar, agreed to the ceasefire during a meeting in Addis Ababa, following mounting calls from the international community to end fighting. A previous ceasefire signed in January failed to take hold. Gabe Joselo, VOA News, Nairobi.
The search for missing Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 has continued off of Australia. The Australian Navy ship Ocean Shield left the western port city of Perth Saturday to resume the underwater search for the missing jet that disappeared on March 8th during a flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. The Navy ship is carrying a U.S. Navy robot submersible, which has been scanning large areas in a remote part of the Indian Ocean. More on all of these stories at voanews.com. I'm Vincent Bruce, VOA News, reporting from Washington.